Okay, today I'm going to do a video on how I do the blonde on the deck of this 1958 19-foot Chris Craft Capri. In my last video I stained the deck, and you can see it here. Stained 2 coats of sealer and 2 coats of full strength varnish so far. So then the next step, I took the tape, the masking off the king plank and all the areas that are getting blonde, and I taped off the everything that's not blonde on the deck. And I went ahead, it's the end of the day, and I went ahead and put 1 coat of bleach, wood bleach, on the deck. I was careful with it so I didn't splash it all over, and I made sure that I didn't have a lot of excess in these deck seams, which who knows might, wick up into the wood, which is sealed. But I wanted to tape this off anyway, because when I go to stain this tomorrow, it'll be taped off and masked off. So I'm going to show you how I put the wood bleach on. This boat, the deck is done here. I just have the engine hatch to do. I just put 1 coat on, and I'm going to let it dry, and tomorrow I'll show you how I put the blonde stain on there. Here's a shot of the back. That's where the Capri emblem goes right there. So I'll let this dry overnight, so this is done for the day. But I'll take you in here, and here's the engine hatch. It's all taped off and ready to go. Here's the wood bleach. I'll have just enough to do this. There's something on there. I gotta blow that off. And then you can see over here I've got some test pieces that I bleached the other day. I bleached them, and then I put my yellow stain on, my blonde stain, and there's 2 coats of sealer and 1 coat of varnish so far. And I'm gonna build these up as I go, just to have test pieces, because eventually, here's a test piece that I did a few months ago, and this right here, this yellow, is basically what I have. It's the stain that I mixed up yesterday. But it was still a little bit too yellow, and I needed a little bit more brown in there, like this here. So what I did was, after about 4 coats of varnish, I sanded this surface, scuffed it real good, and then I applied some golden oak, I think it was Minwax. I'll have to get that out. And I applied that, and it gave me the tone that I wanted. And I'll take it in here and show you on the inside. The inside ceiling boards are basically what I'm going for, and I think this is a pretty good color. So I'll have the test pieces, so as I go I could mess around with them and get the right tone as I'm building the varnish. So, and here's the stain here, and I made it out of filler stain and pigment that I got from the yellow pigment that I got from the hardware store, and I'll go over that more tomorrow when I go to stain the boat. But I'll just show you how I apply the wood bleach. I'll show you the bleach first of all. It's made by Clean Strip, and it's 2-part, A and B. I ordered that, and that's what I used that before. I used it on the deck, or I mean on the hull side, and that came out real nice and even. Just one coat. So I've got this taped off and ready to go, so I'll put my gloves on. And I like to put glasses on too, just in case you get a speck of that bleach off of the brush or the roller. I don't want it hitting my eye. So I'll put it on with a roller. And I did a test piece. You kind of have to watch how you put this on. If you put it on and then let it sit and go do something else, I've always been told, and I've seen it, that when you come back and try to blend that in, that you always see that spot. But I think it's a little bit more forgiving than I gave it credit for. I did a test piece where I had this piece here that I bleached, and I rolled half of it, and then I worked on the other ones, and I let that sit with a nice defined line here for 5 minutes, and then I came back and did the rest of it, and it blended fine. So I think it's not as bad as I thought, but I still like to do it kind of uniformly. Like see, I got a little drip there, but I'll be into that before 5 minutes. And this does raise the grain too, so tomorrow I'll have to figure out what grit to use and kind of knock down some of that. But I don't put it on real heavy, just a good generous coat. It's like water. I like the wood came out real nice on this hatch. I'm happy with it. See, I'm getting more drips on it like that. That's what I don't really want to do that, but I think it'll be okay. I've done whole sides where we've used like a garden sprayer, and that works pretty good too. You kind of flood it, and you start it at the top, like up by the front, and or no, I'm sorry, you start at the bottom, because if you started at the top, you'd get runs down it, which might leave an impression if you leave them too long. So I'll come in the morning, and these will be not bone white. Like I've heard of guys putting 3, 4, 5 coats of this on, and it gets it really white. But it'll be definitely a lot lighter. I'll show you. Like you can see the back of some of these pieces. See how it looks. This mahogany, this piece of mahogany has kind of got that pinkish hue to it. This is the first time I've done blonde stain, but I did enough testing with that one piece that I'm confident that it's going to come out nice. Some guys will just bleach the wood, and then the next day they'll just start putting their varnish on it, and they won't put any stain on it. I don't think that's how Chris Craft did it originally, because I have some old spray rails here that, and I'll show you when I'm done here, that when we stripped them with a heat gun and a scraper, you could actually see the yellow stain that was in the grain of the wood. So it was definitely stained. And the yellow really matches that yellow that I got from the hardware store. So I think I'm on the right track. So there's the surface, and I'll just go around and do this edge. It's raining out. Now I read the instructions on this, and it says if you just apply one coat, you don't have to wash it with water, which is good. It just saves you a step. If you put 2 coats on, it suggests that you neutralize it with water, so you'd have to flood it with water or somehow sponge the water on to neutralize it. But it says you don't have to, and I think that's because I let some of this sit in a cup. Actually, I have some in the cup right here. And when it dries, it like crystallizes. See those crystals? So maybe that's what you're washing. I don't know enough about it, but maybe that's what you're washing out of the grain if you put more than one coat on. Okay, so that's it. So I'll stop the camera, I'll come back in the morning, and I'll talk a little bit more about this stain, how I made it up, and the proportions, and then we'll go ahead and apply the filler stain on the deck. And then I'll have to wait till the next day to put 2 coats of sealer on it, and then I'll probably put 2 coats of varnish to catch it up to the rest of the deck, take all the masking off, and then I could start applying the 3rd coat of varnish over the whole thing. Alright, so I'll stop the camera until tomorrow morning. Alright? Okay, it's the next morning and all the bleach is dry, and as you can see, the wood is quite a bit lighter than it was. And I'm going to take you in the other room and show you the boat, and I want to show you how that bleach raises the grain and how you got to knock that down in order to stain it. So here's the deck of the boat, dry. It's all lightened, and you really can't see it from this angle, the grain that's raised, but I'm going to turn the light out and use this light here to show you how it raises the grain. I shine this light across it and it throws shadows, and you can see how that raised the grain. And you want to knock all that stuff down, because if you just leave it like that and go ahead and apply the blonde stain, that blonde stain, it'll attach to all those raised pieces. And then when you go ahead and seal it and then scuff it and sand it, a lot of times those pieces will be knocked off and leaving the bare wood underneath it. So you don't have to get like 100% of all this stuff, but it's you want to get most of it, and I'll show you how I do that. I've done this piece here. I'll show you. Right here I have not done, you can see that. And then right about here, that's where it's a lot, there's a lot less raised grain. There's still a few little pieces here or there, but a lot of those little, real tiny pieces will come off during the staining process when you apply the stain and then take a rag and wipe it off. A lot of those will come off. So this is a lot better than what I started with, which is right here. This is untouched, and I'm going to show you. You could either use sandpaper, like a finer grit sandpaper, and just barely hit it, or you could use this is the first time I ever tried this. I thought maybe a card scraper would work good. So I've got a sharp card scraper here. Now I definitely do not want to dig the edge in or anything like that, or go cross grain. I'm just laying this on top of there with light pressure, scraping. I'll start up here and show you how much. I'm just light pressure. See all those little pieces, how they're grouped there? Or you can go the other way, depending on which way the grain's running. So I'll do this point up to here, just real light. And anything that's left on, we can just leave it. And when we rub that stain in with a rag, they'll come off. So then I'll take an air hose and blow it, but I got a lot of that stuff. There's still some little stuff, but that's not a problem. And you'll see the deck here. I'll just do an area right in the middle here. And this is probably how I'm going to do it. I'm probably going to do it with the lights out and using the shine light, because you can see a lot better. Now I have a piece of 120 grit. I've used fine stuff before, like 320 or 400, but if you run this across, you do not want to dig into the wood at all. You're just barely running across that top surface, just to kind of remove that grain that's raised. and you blow it off with air, and then you can go ahead and apply your stain. So there's an area you can see it's a lot better than this back here. So it shouldn't take too long. I could probably do this whole boat in, you know, half hour or 45 minutes. Take all that raised grain off. Here's the back section. You could see that grain that's raised. Just take that off, and then I'll go ahead and stain it. So I'll stop the camera, and I'll do that. Here's a shot. I'll stop the camera and I'll start it back up when I'm ready to apply the blonde stain, and I'll talk a little bit more about this stain. All right?